Hi everybody, it's Karen here. Today I want to share with you how to make this adorable little Halloween treat box. And I'm going to share the directions, and you can also find detailed directions on my blog, but I wanted to do this video to walk you through how to make this. Now this is a really nice treat box that you can actually adapt to any season, any holiday, any event that you want to. But just wanted to share this directions with you today, so here we go. What you're going to need is you're going to need one piece of 12 by 12 cardstock to form your box. You're going to also need, to decorate your box, some strips of paper. And what I did is I cut some 1-inch strips and then a 1 1/4 inch strip that I will be wrapping around the box. I have my additional decorations, which I'll go through those when we get to that point. And what I use is, you want a good, strong adhesive, whether it's a strong adhesive glue or something like this. This is score tape, which I love for pretty much almost all of my paper crafting projects. I find this is really a good, strong tape. So first thing we're going to do, first cut you're going to make, I'll just move my markers off the side, is you're going to cut your 12 by 12 paper at 4 inches. So you have a 4 by 12 piece, set that aside. Then the remaining piece is 8 by 12. You're going to turn this and you're going to cut it at 6 inches. So you have an 8 by 6 piece, put that aside, and then cut it again at 4 inches. This is our scrap. I'm going to put this away. So now I have one 4 by 8, one 6 by 8, and then I'm going to take that 4 by 12 piece that I cut first, and I'm going to cut that one to 4 by 8. My scrap aside, and pretty much that's what you're going to do with your paper for there, because that's what you want. You want one 4 by 8, 6 by 8 piece and two 4 by 8 pieces. This is what's going to form your box. The reason we have these two 4 by 8 pieces is the back part of the box. We want to give it some sturdiness, just to add a little bit of stability to it. Put these aside for now. Now you're going to need a scoring platform. So what you're going to do is I'm going to do my vertical scoring first. So I'm going to score this at 1 inch, and then I'm going to score it at 2 inches. So along your vertical, that's all you're scoring. Turn it horizontal, score it again, 1 inch, 2 inches, and then you're going to score it at 6 inches and 7 inches. I can put my scoring platform away at this point because that's all I'm going to be doing. So that's what I have. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold in along my score lines, use my bone folder to deal with my creases. And the last one. So now I've folded in along all of my score lines as I start to form my box. But before we can form our box, we need to cut away some of these tabs. What we're going to do is this bottom corner, these two little pieces, I'm going to cut these away. Same on the other side. So now we have this. What I want to do is cut up to the 2-inch score line on both sides. So now, this is my tabs. I'm going to put my adhesive on the back side. So I'm going to take small pieces of this adhesive. And I like the fact that this is tearable adhesive. So I'm going to put a piece here. and here. Sticks to my fingers as always. So right now, that's what I'm going to do. The extra piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple little other pieces, and you'll see why. Just above that 2-inch score line on the outermost piece. All right. So this is where we have our adhesive. I'm going to take off the backing on just the bottom ones for now, on both sides. Now, when I build my box, I start from the outside and work my way in. So I'm going to take and fold the first flap over to form that corner. And then I'm going to fold that in to form that piece. Again, I'm going to take this first flap, fold it like that, and then tuck it in. And you just be very careful as you're lining up your corners. So now we have almost our base, and I'm going to take these pieces of adhesive off. Oops, sticking on me. There we go. And then fold up the bottom flap. And then I usually stick my fingers inside to just kind of give it a little bit of a press to make sure it's all sturdy and set and scored. So now what you have is a box like this with an open back, and you'll see why. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to layer these two pieces of cardstock together. But before I do that, I want to cut the corners, and you can mark this ahead with a pencil. Basically, I'm doing from 1 inch down, 1 inch in on both sides. And I put them together when I cut so that I can make sure that I cut exactly what I want. And you can mark it with a pencil. I've done that with a ruler at times. 1 inch down, 1 inch in. So now I have my tag. Put that aside. And then I am going to take my score tape on 1 inch of the pieces. And this just gives some added stability to your box. Now you guys can see why I stocked up the other day. Packing's off. I always have a ton of these little pieces of covers all over the place when I'm done. So what I'm going to do is just line up bottoms. Here are my 2 pieces together. So now I've got my tag. Before I put it on there, what I'm going to do is I have a small little 1/4 inch punch. I am going to punch a hole at the top. So I've got that. Now what I'm going to do is on the back of my box, along the 3 sides here, I'm going to put some more of my score tape. And we're going to now put the tag on the back of the box to finish our box. And I usually do this just using my fingers as guides. Just kind of place that at the bottom, line up the sides, and then I often use my bone folder to go in to make sure that the tape is nice and secure. So here's the box. And this is where you can have fun and decorate it in whatever manner you wish. What I'm doing is I'm taking my strips that I have. I've already put adhesive on the back. I cut these at, like I said, 1 inch by 12 inches. So what I do to keep the seams from showing is I'm start about quarter of an inch up. I overlap it on the back, and then I just take it and carefully work my way around the box till I meet the seam in the back. And then I just take my scissors to cut off that excess piece. And then I'll put my yellow strip here. Yes, I do use a lot of this score tape, if you can't tell. I find it's probably one of the best things I've used for my paper crafting. And I follow the same pattern. So I'm going to start it just up next to this in the back. Work my way around the front. Try to keep the edges flush. And then cut it again, cutting away my excess. You should see the pile of scraps I have off the side of this desk. You guys would laugh. And then one last piece. Take it around. So there we go. Now what I've done with this one is, so what we're going to do is do some embellishments on it. One of the first things that I'm going to do is I'm going to punch a little something out of some orange cardstock to cover that hole. So what I do is I'm going to take my 1/4 inch punch that out first to give me a smaller hole, and then I have a 1/2 inch punch. I'm going to line it up around the hole I just made to create one of those kind of reinforcement discs I remember using in notebooks and binders and things like that. So I just have that, and then what I'm going to do is get my adhesive. And place that disc around the hole. Then what I've done is I've got some fun things. I've got some lace doilies. I think I picked these up at the Target dollar spot at some point in time, so I'm going to use those. I just thought they'd be a fun little addition to this. Put that there. And then I have a tag that I punched out some cardstock using our Tags and Tabs thin cut set. I love this because you can use these tabs on your scrapbook, tags and tabs on your scrapbooks or your card projects. It's a really great set. And I'm going to put this next to that, kind of slightly overlapping. And I've got some random ribbon that I had lying around that I'm going to put through the hole on my tag. I always try to put it so that the piece, so I folded it in half, slide it through, and then take my 2 ends and bring it down. So I've got a little bit of some ribbon, and I'm just going to cut off my ends. So I've got that. And then what I've done is I am in love with this stamp set. It is called Spooky Gnomes, and it is adorable. We're definitely quite in the gnome trend this year. I bought it, I have it with the thin cuts, so we have all of these images, these 3 adorable gnomes, bats and moons and cats and cauldrons and brooms and everything. And you have it with the thin cuts, which really makes it a lot easier because, you know, we love fussy cutting, don't we? Nope. So I've already gone through and die cut these out and stamped these. And what I used is I use our Intense Black ink because I colored these in with some of our Tri-Blend markers. I used the light yellow blend. I used the Fair Skin for the gnome's little nose, and our light green blend and our purple blend. So they're so much fun. You know, I'm back in elementary school with my coloring and having fun with this. So what I'm going to do is I've got this all ready, is I'm actually going to use adhesive for this for my little cauldron. But what I'm going to do is use some 3D foam tape to put my gnome on my piece to give it a little bit of dimension. I just like it when it pops. It just adds a little bit of something extra. Got my gnome guy. And then I've got my little moon to go in perfectly with the stars there. And then I've got my little hocus pocus. So I'm going to just put a little bit of foam tape behind that as well. Put this guy, oops, sticking to my own fingers. So, and this is such a fun stamp set to work with. You know, you can do cards, treats, whatever. And I am going to add my hocus pocus right there. Now my last piece is going to be this bow. We have two new die cut sets. This with this new catalog, we have our small bow and our large bow thin cuts. So I've already pre-done the die cuts for this bow, and I'll show you how to assemble it. Again, I tend to use the sticky tape, except this time I'm using a very thin width of it. So I go onto the back side of both pieces. I'm going to place a little bit of the sticky tape on the tie piece. And then I'm going to put a little bit on each of this corner, and then a little bit in the middle. And then what I do is I peel off the backing, and I'm going to fold this, fold one side in to the center where I had that piece, and then the other side in to the center. It's a little hard because I'm using a small bow here. And then what, oops, I actually put that on the wrong side. Thank God this stuff peels off easily. So, and actually I think that might be fun. I'll do combine. So you can do it either side. So my little oops is actually something fun. So I'm combining it with two colors. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your bow, place it down on the back side, and then take this tab and wrap it around the center of your bow. And these are things that you can decorate. You could use some gems. You can use some of the shimmer brushes. And then I'm going to take a small piece of adhesive, put it on the back side. And then I'm going to adhere it to the top of my tag. And then I'm going to fluff up my bow a little bit. You can use a pencil or whatever. And there you go. That is how you create this fun treat bag that you can fill. What I did is I took some treat bags you can get at the hobby stores and filled it with some candy. And that's what I'm going to do with all of these that I make, because I have a habit, and I think I've kind of spoiled my coworkers, of making treats each holiday of the season. And that is going to be this year's Halloween treat for my coworkers. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. And like I said, for some pictures of this and some more information on this process and links to the products that I've shown you today, the die cut sets and the stamp sets, and especially this Got Candy paper that I used for the back of this, you can check out my recent post on my blog. And I thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.